Hello my lovelies and welcome to the Clueless Fangirl YouTube channel. I create content like this, lore videos, live streams and podcasts on Lord of the Ring or rather Tolkien's works on a weekly basis. If you want to follow me on social media, all links are in the description of this video. Enjoy! Hello my lovelies and welcome back to my channel. Yes, this does look a bit different than usual. I promise this is a normal lore video, but it is really important for me to do this face to face with you and to say before the video starts a big thank you from the bottom of my heart to everybody who accompanied me over the last year on my journey here on this channel, everybody who left a like, who left a comment, who interacted with me over the last couple of months. And and I really want to say this is so important for small channels like mine, because this is how YouTube works. And I know it is annoying because everybody does say that, but yes, it is important that you do that you interact with creators. And I just want to say thank you for everybody who did that. Obviously the dislikes are not included in the thank you. No, joking aside, thank you guys. It means a lot to me. And let's get to the content of this video now before I keep blabbering on about this. This video is about Galadriel, the Lady Galadriel, and I do hope you enjoy this video. This is not about her life in general, it is about her powers. Why was she so powerful? What were her actual powers? So leave a like, leave a comment and enjoy. Bye-bye. To answer the question of how powerful Galadriel was and why, we need to look into her full backstory. And just to let you know, I use various sources like Unfinished Tales and the History of Middle-earth books besides the Silmarillion and the Lord of the Rings for the content of this video. I also do not want to give a full account of her life here. I do have a long stream linked here somewhere, hopefully, about her full backstory and life if you're interested in that. Also, literally all my fellow Lord of the Ring YouTubers have dedicated videos on her life if you want to learn more about that part. Researching Galadriel, her powers and her character development is what intrigued me the most actually. And for everyone that only knows the Lord of the Ring books or movies, you might think character development and powers, what do you mean? But yes, Galadriel actually started off as a Noldorian princess born in Aman and not Middle-earth. She was from the royal line of kings. Her grandfather and her uncles were the kings of the most powerful elven race, the Noldor, on her father's side. And on her mother's side, Eärwen's side, she was also from a royal line from the elven clan of the Teleri. Her Teleri grandfather took on the kingship of that clan when he reached Aman, and her uncle Thingol, who stayed back in Middle-earth for love, became the king of Doriath. It is also important to know that Galadriel and her brothers combined all three elven clans or houses or races or however you want to call it in them. Like I just said, her father, himself a Noldor prince, married a Teleri princess, and due to Galadriel's paternal grandmother, King Finwë's second wife, Indis, please take a look at the family tree here or you'll be like, what is she talking about? So Galadriel was also part Vanya. She has the blood of all three elven clans in her, therefore. Short side note about the elven clan or house, the Vanya, they are the elven clan we actually know the least of, as they completely stayed behind in Aman and therefore took no parts in the faith of the world, as I find there's a kind of mythical aura surrounding them and they are the firstborn of the firstborn, so that kind of makes them the highest elves in a way. It is not really important, but what I always find is that those characters in Tolkien's world that combine multiple houses and races often seem more powerful in a way. And if you now know Galadriel combines all houses of elves in her, that alone makes her powerful in my view. But let's start with the geography to explain some of her actual powers, because I do think that is the main factor that distinguishes her powers from those of other elves. Galadriel was born in Aman, like I said. for everyone, that is what? Where? That is kind of a blessed realm where the demigods and elves reside and everything is blissfully boring and, let's say, perfect. It is where, at the end of the Lord of the Ring movies, Galadriel and the others sail back to. It is also the realm that is, let's say, magical, or magic is more common than in Middle-earth. It is very important for you to understand that the concept of magic is vague, to say the least, in Tolkien's world. It is not like you study magic in a school and become a sorcerer or anything like that. That differs Tolkien's concept of magic from other fantasy authors that came after him. Magic often is within the character and is not defined as a ray of light comes out of her hands or fingers and therefore she throws down the walls of Dol Guldur. She simply throws down the walls. Melian simply creates a magic girdle surrounding Doriath. And even Gandalf and Saruman's magic is not really fully explained. There was magic and power in Saruman's voice. How? What did he say? Did he cast spells? We do not know. Tolkien never fully explains it, and I'm fine with that. And that is not why we're actually really looking for in explaining Galadriel's powers. So, as I mentioned, she was born in Aman in the years of the trees, so way before the sun did set. Before men were born, and Tolkien calls those elves who were born or who lived in Aman during the lightning of the world by the two trees light elves, and that has nothing to do with they were good elves and the dark elves that never saw the light were evil elves. Still, I do think light does stand for wisdom and power. Yes, there were powerful elves in Middle-earth that never saw the light of the two trees, but not as powerful as the ones that came from Valinor and did see the light of Laurelin and Telperion. Tolkien describes it as they had a light and power within them. In a way, I would say around the time Galadriel was born, so when the elves did migrate from Middle-earth to Aman, and before the darkening of the world, aka Melkor and Ungoliant destroying the two trees, spoiler, magic was at its peak in the world. So no wonder an elven princess born in that time was undoubtedly powerful. Let's get to the why she was so powerful. So we learned she was born under the light of the trees in the blessed realm of Aman. So that is definitely a big factor. What I want to add is that she directly learned from the angels and demigods of Middle-earth, the Maya and the Vala. Back in Aman, she was a student of Yavanna, the goddess of nature, so to speak. She grew everything on earth and gave nature life. Galadriel, because she was an Noldorian princess and her family was especially close to the god of smithing, Aule, also learned from him. What exactly we do not know, but it definitely made her stand out from other elves that never even saw, let alone interacted with the gods and angels, the Vala and the Maya. It was a privilege, and as besides Eru, the god in Tolkien's universe, those gods and angels were all powerful and wise, each in their own field. They were the most powerful beings in Tolkien's universe, so learning from various masters and gods is standing out to me, as I cannot remember any other elf that was mentioned to have learned and interacted with that many Vala and Maya. And it didn't end in Valinor. After Galadriel came to Middle-earth, she visited her uncle, the king of Doriath, Thingol, and met his wife, Melian. Melian herself was a powerful Maya, an angel of the ranks of, for example, Sauron or Gandalf or Saruman. Her relationship with Melian was outstanding again. The Maya taught Galadriel many things, amongst those was making lembas bread, for example, but that is not really a power, I would say, although the hobbits probably would disagree with me. Melian herself was a student of the Vala, Yavanna, Mana and Este and served for them in Middle-earth. She was preserving life and nature in Middle-earth, and one of her greatest accomplishments was the Girdle of Melian, a form of an invisible wall surrounding her and Thingol's kingdom from all evil. Morgoth's and Sauron's servants could, as long as the girdle existed, not pass through. And therefore the kingdom was safe from everything going on in Middle-earth, at least for a while. Galadriel obviously must have learned from Melian how to protect the kingdom from evil and outside harm. Again, the magic aspect of the girdle is never really explained. There's no written down magic spell that protected the kingdom, but we clearly see Galadriel must have used a similar form of spell or enchantment to make Lothlorien's borders secure. Also, she had the ring Nenya, which on top of what she learned from Melian the Maya, helped with that enchantment and preservation of her lands and protection. If you ask me, it wasn't by accident Galadriel got exactly that ring, Nenya, the ring of water, the ring whose powers were that of preservation and protection. This was exactly what Galadriel did learn from Melian, and the ring just enhanced those powers she already had. So Galadriel mirrors, in a way, Sauron and his ring. The ring enhanced whatever the ring bearer already desired and was capable of. Therefore, I find the test she puts herself through especially intriguing and very important for her character development, because yes, in a way, Galadriel must have been the most powerful elf of her time, especially in the Third Age, the age of the Lord of the Rings, when she was literally, besides Glorfindel, the only living elf that was born under the light of the two trees, carrying that light within her. All other important Aman-born elves were dead at that time. Another important character trait, and I would say power, is wisdom. So why is Galadriel so wise? First of all, we have to take a closer look at her father, I would say. Galadriel's father, Finarfin, was the Noldorian king's third and last born son. He later became the third king of the Noldor after his father and his stepbrother Fëanor died. He was said to be the fairest and the most wise of the Noldorian princes. He was also the one that did not go to Middle-earth and was less hot-tempered and lusting for power and land than the rest of the family. And while Galadriel wanted dominion over land and people, and that was one of the reasons she went to Middle-earth, she's also described as wise, just like her father. The attribute wise is not often used speaking about the Noldorian royal house, trust me. So this is important. Also, Melian and the other Valar's teachings must have added to that wisdom she already possessed, and I do think kindness is also a big part of what even Galadriel learned and added to her wisdom throughout her days in Middle-earth. So let's summarize why she was so powerful. She was born under the light of the two trees in the blessed realm of Valinor. The time of her birth was also the time where magic in the world must have been at its highest peak. She learned everything she knew directly from the gods and the most powerful beings of Middle-earth. She came from a very powerful and gifted family, and additionally she combined all the three houses of the elves in her line. And she was given a ring to even enhance her given and learned powers on top of all that. Now we talked about the why. Let's get to the powers themselves and see if we can understand them a bit better. Galadriel could preserve and protect her lands by what she must have learned from Melian, but especially by the power of the ring that enhanced those powers even further. That seemed to be the easy power to understand. How often can you say power in a sentence, by the way? Okay, it gets a bit more complicated when we talk about her being telepathic. More than once, we learn in the text that she had an insight into the minds of others. How exactly that works is obviously not explained. Galadriel could speak and communicate with others without actually speaking. She did that with Elrond, Gandalf, and Frodo in the books, for example. Additionally to telepathy, she was able to see in the hearts and minds of others. Let's take a look at a direct quote from Tolkien. From her earliest years, she had a marvelous gift of insight into the minds of others, but judged them with mercy and understanding, and she withheld her goodwill from none save only Fëanor. Good old Fëanor. But what I find even more interesting than the communication and the insight itself is that she's able to shield herself and kind of block her mind from others, especially Sauron. In the Mirror of Galadriel scene, she explains to Frodo and Sam that Sauron many times did try to read her mind. Again, another direct quote from the book. "I know what it was that you last saw," she said, "for it is also in my mind. Do not be afraid, but do not think that only by singing amidst the trees, nor even by the slender arrows of elven bows, is this land of Lothlorien maintained and defended against its enemy. I say to you, Frodo, that even as I speak to you, I perceive the Dark Lord and know his mind, or all of his mind that concerns the elves. And he gropes ever to see me and my thought, but still the door is closed." The door is closed obviously means Sauron is not able to read her mind, which he does with so many others. And if you ask me, the shielding herself from the most powerful being in Middle-earth at that time is exceptional and outstanding. Another example of her powers is obviously a strength within her that again is not described in detail, but we know that before the events of the Lord of the Rings she was able to throw down the walls and foundations of Dol Guldur with her powers. How she did it, we don't know. But bringing down a fortress on your own is literally unheard of and strongly resembles the powers of Luthien, the daughter of Galadriel's former tutor Melian, who did the same to another fortress of Sauron in the First Age. We do not know if she ever took part in battle. I personally do not think so, as besides Eowyn, women in Tolkien's world fight with other powers than with swords alone, but I do not doubt she would be able to win a duel. One of the most interesting powers, and it is not actually a power itself, but more the power of what lies within Galadriel, is the power of Valinor and the light and the wrath within the so-called light elves. As I said, she is one of the last surviving elves in Middle-earth that was born there and had the light and power of that light. Besides her, there is just one other character in the Third Age, and now let's take a look at what Tolkien says about him and Galadriel. We're talking about Glorfindel here. "Those who have dwelt in the blessed realm live at once in both worlds, and again, both the seen and the unseen. They have great power. You saw him from a moment as he is upon the other side. One of the mighty of the firstborn. He is elf lord of a house of princes. Indeed, there is power in Rivendell. The moment the flood appeared, he rushed out, followed by Aragorn and the others with flaming brands, caught between fire and water. And seeing an elf lord revealed in his wrath, they were dismayed." So Glorfindel had a spiritual power within him. Tolkien says his body engulfed in flames. So powerful and wrathful was the elf. Now let's take a look at how Tolkien describes Galadriel's powers. "She lifted up her hand, and from the ring that she wore there issued a great light that illuminated her alone, and left all else dark. She stood before Frodo, seeming now tall beyond measurement and beautiful beyond enduring, terrible and worshipful. Then she let her hand fall, and the light faded, and suddenly she laughed again, and lo, she was shrunken, a slender elf woman clad in simple white, whose gentle voice was soft and sad." Again, Galadriel seems to glow, and her power did shine and illuminate the darkness surrounding her. That was, if you ask me, the light of the two trees and the light of Valinor that still shone in the elves that were born under it and made them more powerful than any other elf from Middle-earth. And I remember doing my research another quote by Tolkien from the Silmarillion that explains this power even a bit more. It is about the eldest son of Fëanor, Medros. He was captured by Morgoth and bound by his wrist on the highest peak of the mountain Thangorodrim. There his cousin cut him free by cutting off his sword hand. The quote is, "There Medros in time was healed. For the fire of life was hot within him, and his strengths were of the ancient world, such as those possessed who were nurtured in Valinor." So there was a fire within those who were born in the ancient world. That explains why Tolkien portrays Galadriel and Glorfindel in this way, burning with fire, wrathful and powerful beyond words. So let's sum up the powers. She was telepathic and did use it to communicate with other elves, but also with the ring bearer Frodo. She could see into the minds and hearts of others, but could also shield herself from others trying to see into her mind. She was able to fight, probably not with a sword, but had the power to tear down a whole fortress on her own. She had the power to preserve nature and also to protect her lands from evil entering it, at least for a while, and also due to the power of the ring that was given to her, I have to admit here. And last, she had the power, the magic and the light of the old world and the two trees in herself, which is probably the biggest part of her power if you ask me. So my lovelies, I hope you liked this try of an explanation why and how powerful Galadriel was. Thank you for listening. Till the next time, my lovelies. Bye bye.